Hello, this is Colin Workman, and this is my presentation on the history of civil rights in America. The first topic I'm going to cover is women's rights. Two significant figures in the fight for women's rights in America were Susan B. Anthony and Sojourner Truth. Susan B. Anthony was prominent in the 1850s, 60s, and 70s. She was a civil rights activist who paved the way for women's suffrage, and Sojourner Truth was prominent in the late 1840s through the 60s. Her civil work was paramount in fighting for rights for both women and African Americans. Her famous speech, "Ain't I a Woman?" is among the many important contributions she made that led to her meeting with President Lincoln. Two of the founding documents that led to equality for women in America were the Declaration of Independence and the 19th Amendment. The Declaration of Independence said, "All men are created equal," and it's a phrase that took some time to apply to more than just white men at the time. But various social and political movements have gradually helped the phrase to be more upheld in American culture and government. The 19th Amendment is the amendment that allowed women to legally vote in the U.S. The women's rights movement was a movement that began officially in 1849 when the first Women's Rights Convention took place. It is a long-running movement that had many key players and major historical figures take part in the fight for equality for women. The next topic I'm going to cover is minority rights in America. For some context, race-based slavery in America was legal for over 200 years, and it was very prominent in America, and it was a large part of its economy, unfortunately. The abolitionist movement and civil rights movements of the 1800s fought for freedom for minorities in America. Slavery was not the only common injustice that took place in America. Indigenous people were mistreated as well. Indigenous communities were often driven from their land for the sake of colonialism and Western expansion. The American Indian movement and civil rights movements have fought to give equal rights to indigenous people in America. Two significant figures that fought for civil rights in America are Frederick Douglass and Tecumseh. Frederick Douglass was a prominent abolitionist who heavily impacted public opinion on slavery. He started his fight for the abolition of slavery in the 1840s. He also worked with the Underground Railroad to free slaves. A couple founding documents that led to equal rights for marginalized groups in America were the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and the Indian Citizenship Act. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the U.S., the 14th Amendment gave former slaves equal rights, and the 15th Amendment allowed freed slaves and men of any race to vote. The Indian Citizenship Act, or the Snyder Act of 1924, allowed all Native Americans born in the U.S. to become American citizens. A couple social movements that helped with civil rights in America were the abolitionist movement and the civil rights movement. The abolitionist movement started in the 1800s, and it fought for the abolition of slavery in America until it was finally outlawed in 1865. The civil rights movement started in the 1950s and ended in the 60s. It fought for equal rights for African Americans in the U.S. and fought against discrimination and segregation in America. The Civil War started on 1861 and ended on 1865. It was the conflict between northern and southern United States about the morality of slavery. The North won, and this brought about the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. And as for how religion and civil rights interacted with each other in American history, Martin Luther King Jr. was a Christian, and he promoted Christian values like love and forgiveness. Many African American churches played key roles in the fight for equality as well. Unfortunately, white evangelicals in the South supported slavery through various misinterpretations of the Bible. And that's it for my presentation on the history of civil rights in America, and thank you for watching.